Hi everyone, this is Amanda at Amanda's Booktopia. If you're new here, welcome, and if not, welcome back. And today I'm going to go over all the books I read in January, some of which were in vlogs, some of which are in a vlog that's not posted yet but will be coming up. So for those books, I'm not going to go too into detail on my thoughts, but I will give my star ratings, just so you guys are aware. And I have a bunch of physical books, and then I also have ebooks. And was there an audio? I think there may be an audio, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's also like 2 DNFs in here as well. So I'm counting those as read. So technically, altogether, we have 27. So let's get started, shall we? And these books are not in any particular order. So we're just gonna go through them all and have some fun. First up, I just posted this vlog, so I'm not going to go too into detail, but I will tell you my ratings. And this is the Chestnut Springs books. So we have Heartless, that I gave 5 stars, I think. And then we have Powerless, which I believe I gave 4 stars. And then Reckless, 5 stars. Infinity stars, as many stars as I could possibly give this book. All-time favorite. And this will also be in the Chestnut Springs vlog. And Hopeless, I gave 3 stars, I believe. For me, this was the weakest one. But that's all in my Chestnut Springs vlog. So if you want to go check out that vlog, I just posted it today. So you should be able to go and check out that vlog and hear all my thoughts. And then our first DNF of the month was Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I tried to read this because my besties were doing a Laini Taylor read-along. And for January, they were doing this duology. And I attempted this book, and I DNF'd at page 199. I was not having fun. I was kind of lost, and I was getting bored. And and the writing style was just not for me. So unfortunately, this was a DNF. I'm not sure if I'll ever read Laini Taylor again, only because her writing style, I just feel I don't connect to. But if others like it, more power to you. Just not for me. And then we have some other books that I read in another vlog, which was for my Scatter Gorathon vlog that I did for a little while back. So I'm not going to go too into detail, but I will tell you my ratings. We have The Veiled Kingdom by Hallie Renee. I think I gave this 3 stars. I'm pretty sure. Somewhere or other. And then we have Things We Left Behind, which is 5 stars, infinity stars, as many stars as you could give it. Absolutely amazing. Highly, highly recommend. And we have, also in that same vlog, Autopsy of a Fairy Tale. This, I believe, can't remember if I gave it 3 or 4 stars. I think maybe 3, closer to 3. But this was also in that vlog. And I got books flying everywhere, so hold on just a minute. Anything else from that vlog? Oh yeah, there's one more that was in that vlog. And that was Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. This was a 4-star read for me, and I will read more books of hers in the future. And I think that was all the books that was in the Scattered Gorathon vlog. And then I have another vlog that's not published yet, but will be the next one coming up very soon. Because there's a Book of the Month challenge that Vanessa from Read with Dr. B hosted on her Discord. So I decided to join in. I read a total of 8 books in that vlog. So stay tuned for that. You'll get all my thoughts. So for now, I'm just going to give you my ratings. So we have The Last Story by Meg Schaffer. This was a 4-star. And we have Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. This was, I believe, a 3-star. And then we have Bloodguard by C.C. Robson. Gave this 4 stars. And then we have The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This was also a 4-star. And we have How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwan. This was a 5-star. And then we have Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I believe I gave this a 4-star. And we have The Last One at the Ready. I can't talk today. The Last One at the Wedding by Jason Recolot. This was a 4-star. And the last book in that vlog that's coming is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. And this was 5 stars, infinity stars, as many stars as you could give it. 1001, new absolute favorite of the year. I can't wait for you guys to hear all my thoughts in that vlog. So stay tuned. And that's all the books that were in that vlog. So let me put these aside for just a minute so I can get to the other books for you. Whew. I didn't realize I had this many books. Alright, so here are some few other ones that I have also read that I don't think I talked too much about, except for one, which I did do a vlog on. But I'm going to save that one for last because I am going to be going on a bit of a rant, unfortunately. But we will save that for later. Next, we have The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. I wanted to read this because I loved A Fate Inked in Blood by her. And this did not quite measure up to A Fate Inked in Blood for me. This was more of a 3-star. I did enjoy parts of it. However, it was fairly predictable for me, and it just felt like every other romantasy I've ever read. And it didn't feel too unique for me. It wasn't that much of a story that I haven't read before. The beginning was interesting, but as we kept going, it didn't feel like a 4 or 5-star. It just felt like every other book I've ever read, unfortunately. I mean, I will eventually continue the series, but right now it is not a priority. I mean, it was decent. It just wasn't anything new. So that's why this was a 3-star. And then next we have Night of the Witch by Sarah Rosh and Beth Revis. This was a buddy read that I did with Becky from Bex Reads. And this reminded me a lot of Serpent and Dove. This was like the German version of it, basically. And it was fun. It's not like I didn't not like it. I did, because it had like this really unique magic system. And I like the goddesses that were involved in this story. For me, it just resembled too much the Serpent and Dove. And it wasn't too much different. I mean, there were some aspects that were slightly different with the magic system, which I liked. And I felt like this could have been a standalone if it wasn't for that epilogue at the end. I didn't feel like it was as necessarily needed. I felt like it was thrown in there just so they could do another book in this duology. I mean, at some point I will try the second book, but right now it's not a priority. Which is kind of sad, because I really like these sprayed edges. And, I mean, it wasn't a bad book, but it wasn't great. So it was kind of like in the middle for me. So I think I gave this like a 3 or a 3.5, somewhere around there. But if you follow me on GoodReads, and my GoodReads is always linked down below, you can follow all of my ratings on there as well. Eventually, I'll get to the next book. Just not right now. I have so many other books I want to get to, so it's not a priority. But it was fun at the time, so it wasn't too bad. And then the next book I read was for another buddy read. And that is Daughter of Mine by Megan Miranda. I buddy read this with Alita from Alita with the Books. Unfortunately, we both kind of had similar experiences with this one. It wasn't good. It wasn't that good, unfortunately. I'm starting to think this author is not the author for me because I read All the Missing Girls by her. It felt kind of flat for me. I think I gave that one 3 stars. This one I think was a little bit worse, in my opinion. I gave this one 2 stars, unfortunately. It's just, I'm not sure what it was necessarily. Well, I kind of do, but I kind of don't, if that makes any sense. I could not connect to any of the characters. They were all so unlikable. I mean, that was probably the point, but it was, I mean, I predicted the ending about a third of the way through, and it's just, it wasn't a very fun time, unfortunately. I did not like anybody in this book, and it just was way too predictable and was not very much fun for me, unfortunately. So I don't think I'm going to be reading from Megan Miranda anymore, unfortunately. But at least now I know, and I don't have to keep reading her books expecting a different outcome. So, yeah. No more Megan Miranda for me. And then the next book I read was Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I read the first book and really enjoyed the first one. I think I gave the first one 4 stars. This one I gave 4.25. It was slightly better than the first one. I really did enjoy it. But I did not get the 5-star feelings that everyone has been saying about this book and the series. I am enjoying the series, so don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't like it, because I actually do. I'm just not in love with it. I didn't have that 5-star feeling. I didn't feel like, oh my god, this is the most amazing book in the world. Like, I didn't have that kind of feeling, which is kind of sad. But I still had a pretty good time with it, which is why it's a 4.25. And the way this one ended definitely makes me want to pick up the next book, which is, I think, Heat of the Everflame. So eventually I do want to continue the series, and it is on my list to get. I think it's the third book, I believe, is traditionally published, going to be coming up in March. So I will continue the series because I am having a good time with it. It's just not the 5-star feeling like everyone else is saying. But maybe that will change as the series continues. You never know. And then another book I read was for my book club for Fiction Falls. Me and my bestie Clint, we run this book club together. We read The Stars Are Dying by Chloe C. Penaranda. I think that's how you pronounce it. We had completely different viewpoints on this book. Clint gave this a 2-star. I gave it a 4-star. I actually had a really good time with the story. It gave me vibes of Powerless by Lauren Roberts and a little bit of vibes of Throne of Glass. The reason why it was a 4-star and not a 5-star for me was because there were times when the explanations of the vampires were a little bit confusing, and some of the magic system could have been explained a little bit better. And I also wasn't too crazy about the main character, Estrella. I felt like she made some really stupid decisions. And I wasn't too crazy about her most of the time. But I really enjoy the story otherwise, which is why it was 4 stars. And I do want to continue the series. So at some point, I will be getting the next book. Don't know when that will be. I need to do an unhaul, majorly. But at some point, I will be getting the second book, because I want to see how the story continues. And there's one more physical book, but I'm saving that for the end. So we will get back to that. Let me see if I could get the list. All right, so we're gonna do some ebooks first. So we have The Warlord Wants Forever by Cresley Cole, which is 0.5, the Immortals After Dark series. It was, the romance in it was very rushed. I mean, it's a novella. I mean, and some things were a bit confusing here and there, but it wasn't too bad. It's not like I hated it. I didn't hate it at all, but I didn't love it either. So it was very middle of the road. So I gave it a 3-star. It was okay. Just the romance was super rushed. And then I also read A Hunger Like No Other, which is the first book of the Mortals After Dark series after The Warlord Wants Forever. Unfortunately, I DNF'd A Hunger Like No Other. I could not stand the main guy in the first 18%. That's all I read was 18% of this book. I could not do it anymore with the way he was treating her, the way she put up with it, and she wouldn't, when the first chance she had to get help, she did not take the help. I was so frustrated. I was so mad. I could not continue. I've never been so mad at a book before. I was just disgusted by this guy. I could not stand to read a single page of this no longer. I was just so disgusted. So I'm like, I am not continuing this book. So unfortunately, I am not continuing that series. Unfortunately. But the next ebook I had a good time with, and that is Curse of Shadows and Thorns by LJ Andrews. I saw Mel from Eleanor Reads read this, and she had a pretty good time with it. So I decided to read it too, and I have the ebook on my Kindle. And I'm really, really glad that I did, because I had so much fun with this story. And the twists and turns in this book took me completely by surprise. And I had such a fun time. So it was a 4-star, and I will definitely continue the series at some point. I'm thinking maybe in March or April, I might download the next ebook in the series. So I want to see where the story goes. I was fascinated by this world and the characters, so I'm definitely looking forward to continuing that series. And then the next ebook that I read is Burn for You by J.T. Geisinger. And oh my goodness, I am in love with J.T. Geisinger's writing. Burn for You was outstanding. I highly, 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 highly recommend. I feel like everybody needs to read this book. Like, Clint and I, we've been pushing Pen Pal by this author for ages, and now I'm pushing Burn for You onto everybody. I got Clint to read this book after I read it, and he also loved it just as much as I did. It's such a great story. So in Burn for You, we're following two characters. We have Jackson Boudreaux and what's the girl's name again? Bianca. And Bianca's a chef at this restaurant, and Jackson, his family, makes this bourbon that Bianca uses to pair with her meals in the restaurant. And he storms into her restaurant and demands to be seated, and the chemistry is sizzling. It's flying off the pages, and the sass of Bianca is the funniest thing ever. I love the way she treated Jackson. I love the way their relationship evolved. Like, these two are hashtag relationship goals. Seriously. I fell in love with these characters. I fell in love with Bianca's mom, and I cried right by the ending. There's this scene that happens with her mom, and I was crying so much. Like, it was heartbreaking. And I won't reveal too much, I promise, but please, please, if you like a really, really, really good romance with like sizzling chemistry, read Burn for You by J.T. Geisinger. You will not regret it. It was amazing. Everyone needs to read it. And I will be continuing the series this month. There's 2 more books that I'm using for Rom-Com Swoonathon, so I cannot wait to read the rest of these books. And then the next ebook that I read is Cross My Heart by Roxy Sloan. I borrowed this off of Amazon Prime Reading because I've been debating buying this book at Target because I keep seeing it there. And I'm glad I didn't actually physically buy it. It wasn't the greatest, unfortunately. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. there was a lot wrong with this book. And I did not feel the chemistry with these characters. The main guy just felt like a predator to me, the way he was pursuing the female main character. And the only thing that I liked was the last line in the book. I felt like, for most of this book, it felt like a fan fiction of The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. If you've read the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It felt like it was almost a ripoff. And it felt like almost the same plot points, except there's a couple of other things that were slightly different. But for the most part, it just seems so much like The Last Housewife. And I was just not feeling it too much. And I just didn't like the main guy. So 2.5 stars. Glad that's over. I will not be continuing that series probably. But I'm glad it's over. And let's see. All right, now we're on to the last book. Because I have a lot of choice words for this author. And I changed my rating from a 3-star to a 2-star on this one. Because the more vlogs and more reviews I keep seeing of this book gets me so frustrated that it's not even funny. The more 5 stars I keep seeing, I'm like, are we reading the same book? I do not understand. So the book I'm talking about is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, and everyone has been raving about this, except for a couple of people that I saw. And I'm like, how? Why? Like, why do people love this so much? Please tell me. I want to know. Like, I truly, seriously want to know why people love this so much. There was so much wrong with this book. I even read an article last night. Of all the things, this, like, the person who wrote the article, it was all the things that she hated about this book. And I agree with every single point that she made. And then there was more things that she did not bring up that just bothers me so much in this book. So I went from a 3-star down to a 2-star. And, well, I'm going to start talking spoilers. So if you want to keep listening to my ranting about this book, please continue on. However, if you have not yet read this book and want to wait to come back to hearing the rest of my thoughts, then thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully I'll have something fun for you to watch next time. So thank you for stopping by. If you are here sticking around for spoilers, I'm about to start talking about them. So thank you to everyone who do not want spoilers. I will see you next time. Everybody else, we're about to start talking spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Okay. First off, I was so frustrated with Violet and her actions. She is wet on rice with Xaden, and she's constantly on top of him and like saying, and trying, and she knows he's Venom, and he could turn on her at any moment. Yet, she constantly wants to sleep with him and keeps like throwing herself at him and be like, and she doesn't care about her safety at all. And she's just, I don't understand how you could put your safety at risk like that and want to sleep with him anyways, when you know he could turn on you at any moment. Yeah, he may be trying to keep it at bay, but doesn't mean he really can. He's Venom, Violet. Venom. And, like, we're meandering throughout this book. We're traveling from place to place. So she could find information on the Irids for Andarna. And I get she's trying to find answers. But we were getting more questions than answers on this. And she finally gets to her father's books that she's been trying to hunt down and find out what's going on with his research. And there was nothing in there she didn't already know. There was nothing new to go off of. It was so boring. I was so bored. I just wanted it to be over. I read this in 2 days just so I could be done with it because I was so annoyed. There were so many characters I don't remember or recall from previous books. And when Traeger fell dead, I could care less about his death because I don't even know who he is. I know that's probably sad, but it's true. I couldn't care less because who the heck is Traeger? Like, seriously, who is he? And I do not recall a Traeger in any of the other books. And not only was there characters that I don't remember, but let's see, what else is there that I could talk about? Oh yeah, and the whole thing with Big Zayden's mother? What? Is she really gonna take the side of her husband that is the leader of this island that they're on, and she could care less about her son? She poisoned them, or attempted to. Like, hello? This is your son we're talking about. Do you not care? And there's so many things I could talk about. Oh, and the fact that Andarna suddenly comes back at the very end after her bond is broken with Violet, and there's no explanation as to why she's back or where. After how many days? Not very long, maybe a week. And she's suddenly back with no explanation, and all of a sudden their bond is back in place? Like, how? There's nothing in their magic system that explains that. Once a bond is broken, it's broken. You, like, what? And then the whole ending, the point of view switches really threw me. And honestly, why? What's her name? Fanny? However you pronounce her name. I don't think she was ever evil. Honestly, I think she was just trying to get Violet to hear her out. So honestly, I felt like she had all the answers that Violet needed. She kept saying, Violet, I have what you need. I bet not only did she have answers about Violet's heritage, I bet she did, but I'm sure she also had the cure for Zayden, and she just did not want to hear her out. She just thought she was evil, tried to get rid of her. Now she really is gone, and we'll never hear a word from her again. Fanny, however you pronounce her name. You could have at least heard her out and see what she wanted. There was so much. There's so much to unpack in this book. And then, at the very, very, very end, when Zayden just ups and leaves her and they're married and she doesn't remember a damn thing about it, what? He left her Cherendor for what reason? Yeah, he may have gone fully venom, but that's no excuse. Unless his bond with Sigale is broken, he cannot leave her for any length of time unless he wants her to die. How is that? Just how? Why would he want to make her suffer like that? Why? For what reason? There's so many things in this book that I'm just like, what is their problem? And Violet makes such stupid decisions, and Halden? I hated Halden. He made things worse for her already. And she's having to fix his petty mistakes. I'm just over this book. I am so annoyed by everything that is not even funny. However, I will attempt to read the 4th book when it comes out. If it's anything like this one, I am done with this series. Because everything, there's so many plot holes and so many mistakes that I feel did not measure up to the first 2 books. I really enjoy, 4th Wayne was my favorite so far. Iron Flame I gave 4.5 stars. This one is just a mess. I feel like I'm not reading the same book as everybody else. I'm really not understanding why people are giving this 5 stars. I truly do not understand. with everything that I have read and understood from this story, nothing made sense. Just, I truly do not understand. Do not. If you like this, all the power to you. I just don't understand the 5-star ratings. Like, how? Why? For what reason? I truly, really want to know. If you rated this 5 stars, please tell me why you thought that way, because I feel like there's things in here that don't measure up to a 5-star. I really honestly could have waited for this book a lot longer if Rebecca tried to perfect it more and fixed all these things and made it better. Then I would have waited for that. I felt like this was rushed. I don't know if it was because she had pressure put on her from her publisher to make this book come out when it did. And that's why it's such a mess. Like, there's so much editing that could have been done. And it's just, I'm just so over it. I'm sorry. I felt like Rebecca could have taken more time to make this better. And I feel like it just collapsed. I mean, hopefully her next book, she has more time to like plan and hopefully give us answers, because this did not make sense to me. I'm sorry. I just didn't. Out of all these books that I read for the month of January, for me, this one was the worst. And this was my most anticipated of the year. And I was so disappointed and so let down. So I'm hoping she really takes the time on the 4th book to make it right. So I just felt like she has so much pressure put on her shoulders from her publisher that she made it come out so quick with the way that it was, and that she just didn't have the time to perfect those little things that would have made this book so much better. So unfortunately, that was my thoughts on Onyx Storm. I know I did a whole vlog on it, but after hearing all the reviews and all the 5 stars, I had to expand upon it. And it was frustrating. So yeah, I went from a 3 to a 2-star in that one. I was just really, really disappointed. However, I had some great reads in the month of January, don't get me wrong. So even though Onyx Storm was a letdown, we had some really great books that I really enjoyed. Especially with The Favorites by Lane Fargo. That is, and Reckless by Elsie Silver were my top 2 books of January. So I hope you all enjoyed watching all of my thoughts on all of these books. And it was a lot of books that I read in the month of January. Hopefully February will go just as well, if not better. I will be doing some traveling in February, so I don't know if I'll be reading as much, but I'm going to try and read as much as I can. So I hope you had a good time listening to me rant and rave about all these books. If you did, give me a huge thumbs up. And if you don't feel like being chatty and you want to leave me something in the comments, how about you leave me a... leave me skates for the ice skating in The Favorites. If you could find skates, that would be amazing. And if you want to stay tuned for more of my bookish videos and vlogs and all the fun things, make sure you smash the subscribe button down below. And I will see you on the next one.